What is your oh crap, I've got to get the hell out of here right now story? Was sleeping at a friend's house, went to the kitchen to get some water, her father hugged me from behind. I was 14, I guess. Never went to their house again. When I was 15, I went to a friend's place. Her dad was smoking in the kitchen and, when he saw his daughter brought friends over, he got excited and started flirting with a few of us. It was super skeezy. When I got home, I gave my dad a big hug and said, "I'm really happy you never hit on any of my friends." He was silent for a moment and looked a little confused, then he finally said, "Way to have low standards there, sweetheart." Your dad's reaction somehow made it wholesome to me. He seems like a good person. Yes, but I would also have questions and concerns if my daughter said that to me. Gross and bad. Living in Baltimore some years back, and I was driving home through a rough area of the city. Sitting at a stoplight behind an already stopped car, another pulls up next to me on the right. Not really thinking anything of this, the light turns green. Neither of these cars move and I see a car zipping up behind me. I look to my left and I see two guys running towards me. I am so thankful that I left a good deal of space between me and the car in front. I hooked it around the car in front and sped off. Pretty sure I was going to be a victim of a carjacking or maybe something worse. Glad they ill-timed their plan and I gave myself that space. Lesson here is always keep your head on a swivel in Baltimore. Guy I knew stopped behind a car at a stop street. As soon as he stopped, the people in the car in front of him jumped out and ran to the back of their car, so towards him. He reversed and hit the car behind him. The people in front ran around their car to the opposite sides, they were just switching seats/drivers. I was driving north on I-65 in the middle of Indiana. The sky was getting dark, the wind was picking up, it started hailing. I turned on the radio to hear that a tornado was nearby. I determined it was behind me going from southwest to northeast and about to cross over the interstate. Other cars were driving slow or pulling over because of the rain and hail. I was hauling ass to get away from there. I go through a tornado video binge every couple years, and recently learned that sometimes the tornado will just blend in with the other clouds or darkness such that you might not even know you're driving towards one. So scary to realize that you cannot even know it's right in front of you. Edit. A few people have mentioned that these are called rain-wrapped tornadoes. Thanks for letting me know. That's useful. Also, I checked out Pecos Hank, and I'm watching his while I eat my lunch. Thanks to all those who recommended him, he's the type of quality storm-chasing content you want. I figured I'd mention as well that I've never seen a serious tornado in real life, except 3 pretty cool waterspouts on a lake here in BC when I was a kid. Maybe it's just my memory lying to me, but I could swear I remember fish being tossed onto the road. I've also seen some pretty mean-looking clouds in Alberta, but I never witnessed them turn into anything serious. Web link. Great, now I'm afraid of stealth tornadoes and my country doesn't even have tornado season. I'm in the UK and apparently, we have loads of tornadoes, just they're not at all impressive. There was that one in Birmingham that managed to knock down a chimney. I've seen one, a long skinny thing doing not a whole lot, looked up Tornado UK, and found out that we do in fact get all the weathers, just mild versions. The UK actually has the most tornadoes per square kilometer, but they're so weak they're almost never given an enhanced Fujita scale rating. I lived in South Everett, WA for a couple years. Was walking home from the bus stop to my apartment, which took me behind the Home Depot. Suddenly a van starts following me. I hear the side door slide open and look behind me to see a man with the top half of his body hanging out the slider door looking at me. I took off running towards my apartment, literally running as far as I could. The van started going faster. By chance, a guy was pulling out of the driveway of my apartment complex, sees me running for my life, and stops. The van immediately turns around and speeds off. Guy asks if I'm okay. I ask him to just stay there and please watch me walk into my apartment, which was the building next to his. He did, thank God. I started carrying mace and a very large knife the next day. One of my good friends was stabbed in SE Everett. I'm sorry that happened to you and that it can be such a rough place. Oh, F this, man, this sucks that this happens. I'm so glad you are okay. Thanks. Me too. I grew up in Montana, so the Seattle area, Everett included, was a huge shock to me. It literally never occurred to me that something like that might happen, much less in the middle of the day. A 500-pound hog got loose at the state fair and started charging right at me. I've never run so fast in my life. People think pigs are cute or silly, but a mother so can remove limbs. Worse still, the boars will corner you with no chance of escape and then tell you incredibly uninteresting stories for several hours. Once upon a barren moor, there dwelt a bear. Also a boar. The bear could not bear the boar. The boar thought the bear a bore. At last, the bear could bear no more, that bored him on the moor. So one morn he bored the boar will bore the bear no more. I was solo camping in the woods during a phase where I wanted to be a survival expert. I hiked out, miles from any roads or building, built a shelter, and then hiked back the way I came. Less than a mile away from my camp, I found a dead coyote, decapitated, gutted, and laid out like a sacrifice or something. The eyes were gouged out and it was strung across a big, flat rock. A rock which I used as a marker on the way in, so I know it hadn't been there a day before. I ran out of there as fast as I could, knife at the ready, probably 10 miles back to my house. I still have no idea who would have done it, but I know I didn't want to run into them in the woods alone. Sounds like that day you were a survival expert. A true survival expert never leaves his house tap's head. Plot twist, they were sacrificing it for you. This is smart. If this was a horror movie, you would have checked it out and you would have discovered something crazy but probably end up dying or something. Would have been a good movie. Now I imagine that there is a whole series of horror movies you never have heard about, because the main character sees freaky stuff, nopes right out at the start, runs home and credits roll because his life was completely normal and happy from then on. Meaning everyone is actually so incredibly stupid in the well-known horror movies due to a non-survivorship bias. This is low-key the biggest nope comment on the thread. That's some next-level crap. No telling if they would have graduated to human sacrifice, given the lone camper presenting themselves. This is how supernatural episodes start. I was walking to my house from my ex-house very early in the morning when I saw this little girl with a backpack running for her life from two big street dogs. At that moment I didn't think and I ran towards the dogs and missed a kick. The two dogs came after me, biting my legs and arm. They were out of control and these were like the longest 5 minutes of my life. I couldn't stop them from biting me. The little girl kept running until I didn't see her anymore. It was just me and the dogs attacking me. I tried to climb a fence to get inside a house but I couldn't when a taxi driver stopped and went out of the car with a short stick and he tried to scare them off, giving me a chance to run, and without thinking I got inside the car. The guy just ran a couple of times around the car with the dogs behind until he got in and he drove off like really fast. He took me to the hospital where I got a lot of stitches on my legs, arms and hands. That guy is my hero. Every now and then, I go to his taxi stop and give them sandwiches or something. We never knew what happened to those dogs. You probably saved that kid's life. More than likely. The damage a dog can do to a child is horrific. Ops a feckin' hero. Yeah, not even to just young children. A 14-year-old girl where I grew up was killed a few years back by a few dogs. You are also a hero. Thank you so much for sacrificing your own safety for a little girl. The way you feel about the hero taxi driver is the same way that little girl feels about you. She will always think about you as her hero. Which you are. I worked for an agency that helps people do their daily tasks for home health care. I had a man whose insurance prohibited personal care, like a shower. He was very upset during my visit when I declined his request for bathing. I felt bad at first, but soon the man became very angry with me. He accused me of all kinds of things and started pacing around room to room as if he was looking for something. Between that and his spit/yelling rage, I slipped out of the house and drove to a safer place. I reported the incident to my employer and later found out that this person is a sex offender who had previously raped another woman. Who knows what he was planning that day? Maybe nothing, but I'm glad I left. Edit. Sorry if this will be bad formatting. Thank you for the awards. I am sad to hear about similar situations being shared. Always trust your instinct. A lot of people that I see are very physically capable but have difficulties in other areas of their lives. This was the only person I ever saw with this particular insurance and the only time I've ever seen personal care prohibited. Edit 2. The agency background checks us but not the people we see. We see a lot of people and I imagine it's cost related to just take them in on good faith. My coworker actually ran the background check and showed me how. I started using the database after this incident to keep myself informed when I get suspicious. It is free and available online. Unfortunately, any other questions or concerns can really just be answered with the $sign. It's the sad truth. Thanks for all of your input. I did not expect this many updates. Just remember that you have instincts for a reason and to trust them even if you think you are being silly or paranoid. It could save your life. The agency should have revealed that you were going to a known sex offender's house. WTF. F that. If they knew he were a sex offender they shouldn't have let her go at all, by herself at least. That's a two-person job with a panic button readily available. Edit, or yes, send a man. I wrote that originally, but I couldn't get it to not sound sexist, in one way or another, so I just didn't write it. The agency was practically setting up a situation where original poster was in serious danger and didn't make them aware of it. I'm not a lawyer, but that seems like something they could end up in court over, if anything happened. Just reminded me of a moment when I did aid work and I was bathing a lady with Down syndrome. She lives with her adult brother in basically a 2-story shack. I have no idea how that house stayed warm, let alone standing during our winters, but it looked old, run down, and sadly it was the hoarder house with 5 broken down trucks, the Confederate flag, lots of metal and debris in the yard. My boss had called me on my day off because she knew I always said yes to overtime and I was reliable. The regular aide had called out. If I'd have known what I do now, I'd never have agreed to take that shift that day. I was only to be there for 2 hours, help her shower, eat lunch, and do the wash. I pull up and I'm already concerned about it because the address didn't work in my GPS and we're talking 2014, so it was that time where it was odd if it wasn't listed. I walk in and brother is mid-50s in his bedroom, which I can see into because all the walls were sheets, yes, just sheets hanging up basically on a clothesline hung inside to create boxes or rooms. As I'm awaiting the sister to be done I hear heavy breathing that's not from her, glance over to the shirtless brother pounding his meat and staring at me. I froze. I was 22 years old and had no clue what to do. I had a client in the shower, and her brother is beating his meat at me. Feverishly. I finished her shower and just left. Got on my car and drove away about 10 feet and slammed my brakes in the middle of the road. Called my boss and was like, WTF. Apparently, he had done this to the last girl too. From there our agency contacted the sister's social worker and I never saw her name on the list again, so I'm hopeful she was removed and placed in the nearby facility. What the hell? I can't believe he did that to the last woman and your boss didn't say anything and still let you go alone. That's so messed up. I was on a restaurant and they were using a propane tank to power an outdoors heater. Suddenly the tank started to catch fire and I got out quickly because I thought it was going to explode. The staff turned the tank off and everyone laughed at me for overreacting, but damn, I got scared, lol. Oh, what a pussy, you're afraid of exploding propane tanks, said the barbed dildo shudder. They laughed at you for running from fire. I always side-eye those things, I don't like sitting too close to them. You didn't overreact. If one of those tanks blows, they can shoot 30 feet in the air. I've seen it. My friend and I met at Waffle House for lunch. A guy came into the restaurant looking for a piece of paper that he had accidentally left on a table. The waitress didn't know where the paper was located and might have thrown it away. The guy got upset saying the paper was important and he was going home to get his gun stored under his mattress. My friend and I quickly paid our check and got the heck out of the restaurant. Yep. That's Waffle House. Each Waffle House is either a happy haven of laughter, dancing, and good times or a druggy hangout with a rat problem. There is no in-between. The same Waffle House can be either of those things, depending on the time of day. Source: lived near a Waffle House for 2 years. True. Best time to eat at Waffle House is either at 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. with all the old timers or 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. with all the friendly drunk people. The 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. is a crapshoot. Either the very unfriendly drunk people begin to show up, or the casual insomniacs and nip shifters do. I was the only white guy working at a Hispanic restaurant and I don't speak Spanish, that's part of it. One night after work, I get invited to drink at one of their houses. All is going good, we're drinking and I even danced a bit. Then after going outside to the back patio to smoke a cigarette, I come back inside and the guy whose house I was at has a knife and is yelling at these 3 co-workers of mine, blocking the front door, yelling in Spanish that no one is leaving. I knew that much. A bar patron who knew me grabbed me and pleaded to the guy just to let him and me out since we had no part in it. The homeowner lets us both out. I asked the bar patron WTF was that when we're outside since I can't speak Spanish, and he says the guy thinks my 3 co-workers are sleeping with his wife and has probably about to kill them. I got in my car and got the F out of there. So what happened to the co-workers? Well, they all showed up to work the next day alive, and when I asked what happened to all, my main man Humberto said is loco noche. I understand how this would feel weird to the random Anglo. Most of my friends are Mexican and you have to understand how the culture works. You just let the guy do his knife thing until he calms down. Then the next day you go back to effing his wife. Edit. Holy crap. Thanks for the awards, guys. That was an iffy comment and wasn't sure how it was going to go down. Now, let me get back to effing Humberto's wife already. Was waiting for the next bus in a bus station at 2 a.m. in Minneapolis. A security guard outside told me to stay within the camera zone. I sat down and waited, all alone except a couple of junkies in another part of the station. Suddenly a guy comes in, and walks up to me. This guy dressed in a black hoodie wearing a skeleton mask stood right in front of me, didn't say a word, just stood there and looked at me. When he started to walk away, I bolted out of there, ran down the street, and luckily found a 24/7 Walgreens. So you ran out of the camera zone. Horror movie logic. I had a similar situation one night downtown, Minneapolis. I was dumb and went to the bus hub in the ramp that's kind of by Cowboy Jack's. I went there because it was close to Pizza Loose actually. But I get there and the driver is on break waiting for this route to start, so he's chilling in the bus. I walked past a gap in the concrete and there was a dude just standing there in the shadows. No biggie. Waiting for the bus for sure. I walk further down and by the empty bus and just lean up against the wall waiting for the driver to turn the lights on. While I'm leaning there, I notice the weirdo from earlier looking my way occasionally, which I didn't love. Then out of nowhere, he just starts sprinting towards me. I toss my phone in my pocket and get ready to get stabbed, but he just flew by. The bus driver watched it go down, and a second later, he opened up the door and said, "Hey man, maybe you should just wait in here." Lol. I was in Thailand back in 2010, on the Southern Islands after a full moon party. My friend and I were talking to 2 girls who invited us to play poker. We went and sat down with 2 German guys and 2 burly Thai guys full of tattoos and began to play. They were joking, friendly, and the buy-in was $10. We lost some pots, won some pots, and overall it was a happy experience. The Thai guys beat us, and on the last hand, I managed to claw my chips back to about $8. My friend was looking tired, so I gave him the nod. I thanked for the game, and I said we would cash out and we would be on our way. The Thai guys put a machete on the table and told us to F off. My friend, myself and the 2 German guys noped out of that situation as fast as we could. On the way back the girls caught up with us and apologized, but it meant F all because they were clearly in on the take. Lesson learned: if pretty girls ask you to play a game, it's for nefarious reasons. Best travel advice I received was, if a local girl comes up and starts hitting on you, ask yourself, do I look like Brad Pitt? If the answer is no, it's a scam. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.